And browsing around YouTube, I have come across these so-called experts that can promise you to fix your slice in 2 swings. Don't listen to them. It's all a fable. It requires work and knowledge. Let's get started. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Land Golf Academy, and thank you for those who voted on today's episode, which is all about slicing. And many of us suffer from slicing, myself included, and a majority of us slice. In fact, 90% of golfers suffer from slicing, so it's a common occurrence, and we're going to talk about why these things occur. There's 3 basic things I want you to think about: pre-swing, in-swing, and then your tool. And sometime in this video, I'm going to be giving you a bonus tip, so stick around and it'll be posted there. Pre-swing, so anything to do with setup. Now, when I work with students that have slicing issues, most of the time it's an alignment problem. Either they're aiming too far to the right, where they have to pull the club back across, or they're aiming too far to the left to play the slice. Now the problem is the further you aim left of your target for my righties, the more that accentuates the slice. So you're actually promoting the slice. So common things like aiming the other way to force your body to square the club face might help. The bottom line is slices occur when your club face is open to your path in relation to your target. So if your target is not correctly aligned for, then you can create some issues. So make sure that your feet are lined slightly left of your target. I'm speaking for right-handed golfers. And your club face is aiming at the target. So how can we make sure we're doing that? Well, you can put a club down by your foot line. You come on back and you take a look at where your feet are aligned. They should be slightly left of your target. And as long as your club face is parallel to your foot line, then you are pretty close to your target. So you have to check the club face to make sure it's correct. From there, we have to make sure our shoulders are lined up correct to my target. If my shoulders are lined up open, that's going to usually promote an outside in path. And typically when the outside in path, your hands are not quick enough, and that's where the club face is open relative to the path. And usually we have our right shoulder open because when we grip the club, we grip it in this tendency. We try to cover that right side, and that immediately starts a path that's outside to in. So make sure we square your shoulders up, which will at least allow you to now turn. And when you turn, the club can work its way around your body, allowing for momentum to help you release the club head. So the recommended tips is you have to focus on your path first. Is it out to in? Is it in to out? And then take a look at your club face at impact. One thing that you can use is Dr. Scholl's foot spray. Spray it in your club face, and I'll show you a video really quick here. And when you make contact, you can see where in your club face you're making contact. And if you notice the ball contact position is severely on your toe or your heel, you might have some path issues. Number 2 is the grip. Sometimes if we have too strong of a grip or too weak of a grip, that can affect the club face. A nice neutral grip is a good place to start, where the thumbs are both pointing down the shaft. But just remember, if you strengthen your grip, if you have both thumbs to the right side of the shaft from our righties, all of a sudden that does not promote a release, because if I release with too strong of a grip, my club face is going to be so closed, I have a rope hook. So now I have to learn to hold on to that release. And when you hold on to the release, typically you play a fade or an uncontrolled slice. On the contrary, if you have both thumbs pointing left of my shaft, that means I have a very weak grip, and now that's going to promote my hands to release. When that does that, I get very lazy with my body, so I have, again, could be a path issue, because if I'm just using most of my hands, I'm not turning my body, allowing for my path to become more inside. So make sure you check your grip. So we've talked about some of the things you can look at before you hit the golf ball, some of the things that can affect your placement of the grip, which can also affect your path and your club face. But let's talk about the motion itself. And how do you know what motion you have? You have to look at your ball flight. First of all, make sure you're aimed correctly. For instance, let's say I'm going for the center of this bush, and my ball flight starts immediately to the right, and it stays in the air on that line. That is a push. That means my path was in to out, and my club face was square to my path. Let's say my golf ball starts right and moves further right. That is a push slice. That means my path is into out, but my club face is open to the path. Let's say my golf ball starts straight and moves to the right. That is a straight slice. My club face was still open to my path, but my path was probably pretty straight to my target. And on the other side, Let's say my golf ball starts way to the left side and just slices back. That means my path was outside to in, but my club face was still open to that path. So what can cause this? Well, we have a range of motion issue. Are you able to make a nice wide turn? Do you come out of your posture? Many of these things can contribute to a slice, but the number one thing I see contributing to the slice is overactive shoulders and overactive hands. That could come from not turning enough with the hips. When I turn with my hips, my shoulders automatically turn back there with them, and things typically go on an inside to out pattern. If I don't turn my hips, however, and I become very upper body dominating, you can see my path will always go left of my target unless I do some sort of reroute, which is very hard to do because we start bottoming it out before the golf ball and hit very heavy chunks. So you have to ask yourself, how is your range of motion? Do you need flexibility? Do you need to increase your flexibility? Are you able to hold your posture and increase your flexibility? Some simple drills you can use is just putting the club right over your hips and see how much turn you can get. If this is a struggle for you, you might need some physical attention. Here's an easy tip to help you hit down on the ball with a wedge. Take a broken tee, put it all the way in the ground so the tip is just sticking out. Golf ball should be about an inch behind it. Your goal is to take your swing and still brush that tee. So once you sorted out your path and you've become pretty close to your target, now you look at the club face. How can we get that club face to be squarer to my path? And this all comes from the wrist releasing. So as you come through impact, your hands have to activate and help release the club. And if you don't have fast enough hands, it can be a problem. So you can work on getting your hand speed up by using a club and rotating it around, which will strengthen your forearm muscles. You can use a speed stick. You can use an alignment rod to increase your whooshing sound after impact. All these things can help you release the club face, but the club does need to work around and release the power. As we turn into the golf ball, we have conserved our energy, and the job of the hands is just to release that energy. So right hand over left. So a lot of these drills can help you get that club face to be square or even slightly close to your target for a change. Some advice that you can take is if you have an issue with coming over the top where things are moving around, very upper body dominant, you have to learn to drive from the lower body first and kind of hang back a little bit. But what can help you do this is doing a reverse loop. So typically when you have a path issue, when you come in this way, you have to learn how to get your path to come the other way. So feel like you are doing this loop where things are crashing on the right side for a change, almost like you're hanging back. So it's, instead of looking like this, it should look more under. Feel like everything's going under to release. Throwing the ball to the right side, releasing the ball to the right side. And lastly, if all else fails, you have to check your equipment. Sometimes the equipment's too strong for you, sometimes it's too weak for you. If your shaft is fluttering, if it's torquing a lot, it means it's spinning. That could also play havoc. So if you've gone through these checkpoints, you feel like you're trying, but the club is just not working for you, you need to go check it out. Go get fitted by somebody that can know how to do it correctly and is educated enough to help you get clubs that are fit for you. You should not try and work for the club. The club and you should be in synergy together to hit the golf ball, and they should support each other. So bottom line, you should be looking at your path and then your club face. Fix your path and then learn how to correct that club face to be square to your path, which should also be square to your target. So target, path, club face. I hope that helps you, and don't forget to vote for the next episode, which is on the community post, and I will see you next week. Fairways and greens.